Okay.
I'm not signing nothing.
Okay.
I've been through the system, buddy. I know how it works.
I know you have.
You're
Jeff.
not my friend.
Yes,
All you're
you-
trying to get is some stupid ass confession, and you're not gonna get one.
On what appeared to be an ordinary evening in 2011, warning alarms suddenly blared inside a nearby 7-Eleven. Reports of an armed heist began pouring into the local police station, but upon reaching the location, officers found no trace of the perpetrator. After widening their search radius, it's believed authorities heard a disturbance coming from a nearby residence. Lacking any other solid leads, they forced entry, only to find a well-known heroin user inside holding a firearm. With no additional proof at the scene, they took the individual into custody for questioning. That man was Jeff Pearson, the true culprit behind the robbery. And what unfolded next is remembered as one of the rare occasions where a suspect outwitted law enforcement entirely on his own, all while enduring agonizing heroin withdrawal symptoms. This is a case of the accused outmaneuvering the investigators. The ensuing 24 hours were fully documented on police surveillance within the interrogation room. But unlike most recordings of this nature, the footage was first shared on the suspect's personal YouTube channel on September 25th, 2011. This marks the earliest indication of what would make Jeff a cult icon and a legendary figure within the world of interrogation analysis. Jeff remained in police custody for nearly a full day, yet the total footage available from all 3 questioning sessions lasts scarcely 15 minutes. Since the robbery and subsequent arrest occurred in the state of Georgia, the standard minimum penalty would typically be a decade in prison, with the maximum being a life sentence without the possibility of parole. However, it would turn out that Jeff wouldn't serve even a single minute of that punishment. Rather than spending decades in a correctional facility, he spent one day being offered beverages and sweets while giving a masterclass in how to behave while in police detention. The upcoming footage reveals in striking clarity the tactics officers may use against a suspect and how to evade them like a seasoned expert. Recording begins with Jeff restrained in a compact windowless room clad in jail-issued clothing. It's evident he has already been formally booked and kept in a cell for a while, most likely while the authorities gathered their evidence and readied themselves for the interrogation.
For now.
I'm under arrest?
Yeah, I'll explain everything, but before I explain myself to you, before we talk to each other, I need to read your rights, okay?
What am I under arrest for?
Well, like I said, I need to read your rights first. Obviously, the charge is robbery, okay?
Jeff begins right away by inquiring whether he's under arrest and on what basis. From the very start, it's clear that Jeff has done his homework, as this is precisely the approach one should take in such a scenario. At this point, there are 2 possible paths. If you're neither being arrested nor detained, you can assert that you're not required to remain or respond to any inquiries, meaning you should be fully allowed to exit the interrogation. If you are under arrest, you can promptly request legal counsel and remain silent until an attorney is present. These choices offer the strongest chance of halting the police's momentum and building the most effective defense strategy. What's particularly interesting is that in the United States, when an arrest occurs, law enforcement is legally required to remind you of these rights. Listen closely to the Miranda warning that this officer reads aloud to Jeff.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we question you. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer and you want one, a lawyer will be provided for you. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you'll still have the right to stop answering questions at any time. Does that make sense? You've probably heard these before, haven't you?
These 3 elements are incredibly vital, yet frequently ignored by the average person due to the overwhelming stress of being arrested. In addition to this, because these lines are so commonly heard in media like crime dramas and films, most individuals tend to tune them out when they're actually being read aloud and fail to recognize that they're being given genuinely helpful information designed to keep them secure and legally protected while in police custody. What this officer failed to mention, however, is that if you request an attorney while under arrest, they are legally barred from continuing the interrogation, and you hold an absolute, indisputable right to remain silent until legal counsel is present. The officer also concludes the reading of the rights with a sarcastic comment about Jeff's criminal history, intended to subtly reinforce the notion that he's a repeat offender.
Do you understand your rights? Do you understand your rights, Jeff? Yes or no? You understand?
We're getting paid more than you are, so we can sit here for a long time, man.
I just need you to answer me yes or no. Do you understand your rights? Let's get through that question. Do you understand what I read you? Did you comprehend what I read you?
Jeff has been clearly informed that he has the right to remain silent, so that's precisely what he chooses to do at this point. The lead investigator reclines in his seat, an action meant to convey that he's unfazed by Jeff's silence and willing to wait as long as needed. However, non-verbal cues like this often signal a degree of discomfort or unease. It's evident that the detective is aware this is going to be a challenging few hours for their team.
You got something that says you didn't do this robbery. This is your chance to talk to us.
Okay, good cop.
No, usually I'm the prick.
You look like the prick.
I am.
If it's control we're referring to, Jeff just took everything the officers brought to the table and tossed it straight into that trash bin.
I'm not asking if you want to talk to me at this point. I just wanted to understand what I read to you.
So am I under arrest?
Yes, you're under arrest.
I'm getting back to the cell. I don't talk to you motherfuckers.
Okay, fair enough.
During this initial phase of questioning, Jeff displayed precisely the right conduct, considering his present situation. He understands that the police have no solid evidence against him. If they did, they wouldn't need to be sitting there trying to get a confession. So he keeps his mouth shut, and just like that, he's escorted back to his cell. However, 2 hours later, he's returned to the same room for a second round.
You want a Coke?
Yeah.
You gonna be able to pop it open, or you need me to?
I need methadone.
You need methadone?
Yeah, you guys can get me that methadone or what?
I don't have any. Do you have medication for it, or a prescription for it? Or?
No.
What do you need methadone for?
Because I'm a fucking junkie and you guys, I can't get no methadone. I'm gonna go through withdrawal here in a minute.
All Jeff asked for before heading back into the interrogation room was a can of soda, but he quickly brings up the withdrawal symptoms he's most likely already beginning to experience. However, methadone, the medication Jeff requested at the beginning of this exchange, can be used to greatly ease the impact of withdrawal. It can even lessen the intense cravings he's probably been dealing with the entire time he's been held by law enforcement.
How long you been using heroin?
Long time, buddy.
10 years? 15 years?
I hardly been alive that long. What are you trying to talk to me about here?
Talk to you about what happened last night. Look, here's the deal. Either you're in a bad set of circumstances, or you went and committed an armed robbery last night.
Yeah,
right?
I'm in a shitty, wrong place at wrong time, obviously. I didn't commit no fucking armed robbery.
All right, then let's talk about this. Let's
I
not keep up
I
the
don't talk
act.
to the police, man.
Jeff is clearly done with the small talk and is ready to return to the issue at hand. From his perspective, he's been taken into custody for a crime he didn't commit and is eager to leave as soon as possible.
Okay.
I've been through the system, buddy. I know how it
you
works.
have. I know you have,
You're
Jeff.
not my friend.
I'm not your friend.
You're trying to fucking get me. Or you're
No,
trying
I'm not trying to get
all
you.
you're trying to get is some fucking stupid ass fucking confession, and you're not gonna get one.
Jeff, I'm not going to get a confession out of you for nothing.
Exactly, because I
And
didn't
I'm
do
not trying
nothing.
to get a confession out of you.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't commit no armed robbery, and y'all ain't got no fucking evidence saying I did. Let me go. All you did is find me sitting in my buddy's house because my fucking buddy's dog's going ape shit. I go outside, there are cops everywhere, and they spotlight me. They say, "Come here." I say, "What's up?" They search me. They ain't find
Hang on.
nothing. What's
Let
up?
me read this.
No.
Yes.
Because I'm not gonna sign it.
You don't have to sign it. But let me read it for you. Okay?
I'm not signing nothing.
You don't have to sign it.
The irony of this officer claiming he's not trying to go after Jeff, while Jeff is sitting handcuffed in an interrogation room being questioned, is pretty entertaining. Yet, despite all of that, everything Jeff says here is so precise, it almost comes off as scripted. It's a remarkable example of self-representation, made even more impressive, considering Jeff is almost certainly beginning to feel the effects of withdrawal. I also want to emphasize the point Jeff made about how officers are simply attempting to pressure a confession out of him. One of the core strategies used in these interviews is the Reid Technique, designed by a former officer and psychologist in the 1960s, after he secured a confession from a man accused of murdering his wife. This strategy involves 9 stages, starting with a courteous conversation about why the suspect is being accused, followed by utilizing specific gestures and behaviors during the interrogation to imply guilt. The process concludes by presenting the suspect with 2 possible explanations, one slightly more forgivable than the other. both of which acknowledge wrongdoing and are treated as an admission. This method corners the suspect and is notoriously effective at pulling false confessions from innocent individuals. In fact, the original case that inspired the technique eventually collapsed when it was revealed the man didn't kill his wife and had been manipulated into confessing. Truly elite-level manipulation.
Tell me what happened last night. Plain and simple. Your side of the story.
I'm not talking to you. I'm warning you.
All right. This is what I don't understand. I know, but this is what I don't understand, Jeff. You were sitting there talking just like you were ready to sit here and tell me what happened last night, and then all of a sudden I read that to you, and you screw it, I ain't talking to you. I want a lawyer. I don't understand that. What changed?
Because I told you what. I already told you what happened.
You didn't.
How didn't I?
You didn't tell me what happened last night.
How didn't I just tell you what?
But now you've handcuffed me, and I can't talk to you because you asked for an attorney. So, okay, that's fine. But I will tell you right now, you're still on a hold for a robbery.
I know. I don't know why. I need a fucking lawyer because obviously I didn't do nothing. And obviously you guys know I didn't do nothing because I've been arrested for the same bullshit before, and you guys don't interview me this much. So, wham bam, thank you for the coke, put me back in the cell. That's my home.
We haven't interviewed you yet.
Jeff has now requested an attorney and is once again declining to respond to any questions. We're only at the midpoint of this footage, and Jeff's skill in protecting himself and thoroughly dismantling this officer's approach only continues to escalate from here.
I have enough evidence
Like what?
of the armed robbery, okay? But, you know, if you're saying you didn't do it, you need to give me your side of the story.
I didn't do it.
Okay, well, give me your side of the story. You got to, convince me. Because I got a lot of evidence. I got a lot of physical evidence.
Well, like what? Name the physical evidence.
Why should I tell you that?
This is the point where the investigator begins to show signs of desperation. He realizes he's running low on time and has completely discarded any sophisticated strategies or psychological tactics to extract information. Instead, he resorts to simply threatening Jeff with fabricated claims of evidence that he insists could easily be used to convict him. If any of this were actually valid, he'd likely be leveraging it to scare Jeff into slipping up and revealing something useful. But instead, he relies on weak logic, stating that since Jeff hasn't assisted him, he won't be offering Jeff any help either.
There's only a couple pieces of evidence I'm missing.
Name them.
What's that?
Name them.
Well, why do I need to do that? You haven't helped me out at all. You give me a little bit, I give you a little bit. We go back and forth. I give you one of my pieces of evidence, now give me a little something. All right? What time do you get over to Aaron's house?
No, anything I say here can and will be used against me.
Sure, but anything you say here, I can also tell your parole officer that you helped me out.
That doesn't mean dick.
At this point, the detective is frantically attempting to negotiate with Jeff, offering that if he cooperates with the police, they'll put in a favorable word with his parole officer. But Jeff instantly understands that this offer is meaningless. What's the value of a gold star if you're facing 20 years behind bars? This only further reinforces the notion that the police have absolutely no solid evidence to charge Jeff, and clearly reveals that they're aware time is slipping away. Jeff has already requested legal counsel, yet they're still interrogating him, as if that's not a blatant breach of the rights they've now recited to him 3 separate times. They understand that if they don't extract something from him soon, their opportunity will vanish. Jeff is watching the clock carefully. For the next 4 minutes of questioning, Jeff persistently denies and counters everything the officers throw his way. They mention the firearm found in his possession, keep pushing for a plea deal, and even attempt to intimidate him by painting a grim picture of life back in prison, this time without the drugs he's come to rely on. Yet through it all, Jeff remains completely unfazed. He knows he's nearly won.
I'm done, man. Fuck this. I'm not even answering. All this shit that I just said is gonna be fucking written in the discovery now, right?
What? You haven't said nothing.
I mean, every little stupid thing that you've asked me, dude, is gonna be in the discovery.
I'm not even going to do discovery.
The prosecutor is.
Okay. So, you halfway know the system, how things work, and you halfway don't. Am I right?
I half-ass know
Yeah.
that the only reason I came up here is to get a fucking Coke.
Okay.
And I got it. But now I want a Butterfinger.
But that's not going to happen for a while.
What, the Butterfinger?
Yeah.
Why not? I need to go to the hospital. I'm coughing up blood.
Okay.
Let's go to the hospital.
For the past several hours, law enforcement had been interrogating a man clearly in distress, denying him access to a legally prescribed medication that could have eased his condition, while persistently grilling him over a crime for which they had zero concrete evidence. Throughout the ordeal, Jeff handled the situation with remarkable composure, casually requesting sodas and candy bars. He understood that even a single misstep in his words could send him spiraling, so he asserted his rights flawlessly. 12 hours later, records show he was released from custody and sent on his way. It's also noted that from that point on, Jeff began to turn his life around. He got off heroin and now dedicates his time to uploading content to the very same YouTube channel where the footage from this incident was first shared. He produces music and even shares extra advice on how to steer clear of the police's deceptive tactics.